feels that we're in a time where there's so much self-hatred. And in my own process, I've been moving through this clearing at the level, really at the level of the species, the human being. So really the incarnational vehicle, what we come into in this life as we take a human birth, which is an extremely precious opportunity, precisely because we have the opportunity to fully awaken and experience the full potential of this vehicle, which is extremely unique and extremely precious, full of potential. So I was encountering this piece around self-hatred, which when it shows up, it feels so personal, or we can see it in the collective. However, I was encountering it at the level of the species. So it's like, and it reminds me a little bit, I had a conversation with one of my old mentors recently, Rob McNamara, who's a wonderful writer and a Zen teacher. And he was saying how we've become overly domesticated as a species. And it feels like this piece around self-hatred is related to that. And as I was sensing into it this morning, there's like this, it's almost, the metaphor that I get is like, it's like epigenetic. So if I understand that process correctly, genes will express differently depending on the conditions or the environment that someone is in. And it feels like this is almost like that. Not that I'm saying it's happening at the level of genes, though you could make a connection to ancestors and how it lives at that level, which is to say, I associate the ancestors with our genetics quite directly. So it's like we have this potential to either activate self-love as the foundation of the incarnation, or it's like that can flip and it can get activated as self-hatred becomes the foundation, or maybe not the foundation, but an element. So, and then this can show up in all these different ways, especially, so it's like, it's at the kind of human being level. This is what I'm proposing. This experience of self-hate gets activated at the level of the incarnational vehicle, depending on our karma, our past life karma, like what we're coming in with, and then on the conditions that we're born into. So it gets expressed in this particular way. And then it's like the personhood gets wrapped around that, or gets enlivened in the way that we experience our personhood, the way that we encounter our past life karma, the way we interact with the collective dimension, and then at the levels of the ancestral dimension, the family dimension, and then the personal dimension, our sense of self, the ego, as a separate self. Okay, so it's kind of a lot of information. And just a couple of things I'll add, and we'll explore this in the sit, and I'll pause and see if anyone has anything to say. But I think what's really important is to kind of point out that the like activation of this experience in this life it's not personal. And so what happens when we remove kind of the shame that might come along with experiencing self-hatred or the other emotions, we make it less personal, and we just see, oh, this is like a species level quirk that's happening in this particular time in humanity and on the planet that actually we can resolve, and we can resolve at a higher order level, that resolves the duality completely. And so it's an invitation into deeply accepting what is, and not trying to change anything, because our fundamental nature is this open compassion, and that nature is even deeper than the incarnational vehicle. And ultimately, it is also what makes up this whole life, this whole experience, is this open love. We can't really get at self at self love through self hate. I mean, it might be possible, but that's a very difficult proposition. So it's much simpler to arrive at actually, like, everything's okay. Everything's okay. And yeah, maybe it would be better if certain things changed, and I might hold that intention, and I can go towards the difficult emotions, the negativity or the hatred that's there, but from this place of this fundamental okayness. And so it's a perspective that you can try on. You can just see if you can pick up that perspective and what it's like to kind of gaze through your own experience. If you try that on, of like, actually everything's okay, even if there are all these parts or aspects or unfinished business that is trying to convince you otherwise. So, okay, so let's sit. So just taking your posture, taking your seat, relaxing. Relax and open the body. Just allow yourself to feel a sense of openness, even in the physicality, to whatever extent that's available. That feels natural, that feels okay. And basically, what we're taking here as a given, and maybe even you can wrap this into our motivation, is that everything is fundamentally open awareness, love. And so nothing really needs to be changed here. And we can take the perspective that here in this sit right now, we can start to relieve our own suffering and the suffering of others by releasing self-hatred and seeing through it as fundamentally empty, as space, as brilliance, as luminosity. So we can just take that as our intention and our motivation. So let's just organize our space. So each in your own place, allowing your personal field to be clear, allowing anything that really doesn't need to be here, that isn't yours, anything that's kind of stuck on you or attached, or that you might be carrying. Just see if you can allow that to clear out for now. And when your space feels clear, connecting with a sense of healthy containment. So either giving yourself and your space a boundary, allowing this space to be open, clear, and sacred, private. This is your sacred space. Or really allowing your own energy, your own essence, to enliven, to fill the space, to be fully present. So just seeing how you allow your space to have this sense of healthy containment, healthy presence, a stable foundation from which you can move and play and interact with the world. And if you don't love the idea of containment, you can also work with just this sense of coalescing. It's just this coalescence here. Here we are. So just working intelligently with your own experience. It's not a concept. So really just checking in. How does it feel? How does it feel to have a sense of my own space? And then when you're ready, taking a step even closer in, coming into this inner coherence with self. So as we each organize and prepare our own mandala, our own personal experience space, the whole field, the whole cosmology is also organized. So it's holonic. Each whole is also part of a greater whole, fractal. So we have the support of the field, the support of each other, knowing that we are organized together in this way. And we just allow ourselves to soften, to melt. And perhaps starting here by getting a sense of this particular energy of self-hatred, also not divorced from other expressions of hatred. The hatred that we project outward is no different. And so just see if that is present in your experience at all. And what's the flavor of it? Is it cold or frozen? Or is it more active and aggressive? A numbing, or a kind of excitation or anxiety? And just notice that it's actually okay to just look directly, which is all we're doing. We're just checking this out. And if there's resistance, that's okay. Also check out the resistance or the distraction. And so while we can cultivate love and compassion, it's not the same as fully resolving the duality if hatred is still present. And so it's wise to go towards the hatred. We don't want to cover it up or disconnect from it. We want to honor it, understand it, and allow it to be here so that it can complete, so that it doesn't have to run us in any way. And so we just take this open curiosity into the experience. And we see, can we hold the parts, aspects, the voices that say, I hate? And can we allow the support of the collective and the open ground to help relieve that suffering, that division? And so it's not a problem. We just meet it. We allow it. And we remind ourselves of our wholeness. Or we hold that part in compassion, in understanding. Life is hard. We don't have to make it worse. And if it's difficult, that's okay. We continue to pay attention to the okayness, this fundamental sense of well-being, no matter what. It's always here. And if we feel defended, or if there's shame or confusion, that's okay. We simply allow and relax into the field, this okayness. Really, nothing is wrong. And because our ideas of love are also so confused, we don't meet the experience with love unless we know for sure it's pure. There's no attachment, there's no judgment, there's no manipulation, there's no control. And by manipulation, I mean even trying to change the experience in any way. So we meet the experience with compassion, okayness. And we just start to get a taste of how this energy or structure may be alive in our experience. And we allow it to be less personal, which doesn't mean disowning it or projecting it. But just allowing it to be just another thing that's here that we can work with. It doesn't have to be so charged, so shameful, so hidden. And we can start to sense, is my self-hatred turned against myself? Is it self-destructive? Or is it disowned? Is it playing out in my dealings with others? And it's okay. It can be both, or it can be some other third option I'm not naming. Or it could be like, I have a pretty good handle on this, which is excellent. So we can start to take greater responsibility for this expression. And nothing is wrong. And here we are in all of the human messiness, the dynamism, the liveliness, the curveballs, this flowing field of experience. And it's not so personal. It's just what's happening. And noticing how we can be gentle with ourselves. Things don't have to be rough or extreme or even intense for it to be meaningful. Because our fundamental nature is inherently full of meaning and grace and potential. Actually, nothing is needed. And so as we touch into perhaps a charged or difficult space, as we look into the nature of hatred here in ourselves, in our relationships, in how we connect with the world, we also embrace our softness. How gentle can we be with ourselves, with others, when it's called for? And how much more ease can we allow in our lives? Coming out of hiding, coming into connection instead of bypass. and deepening honesty with ourselves. Greater intimacy means greater truth. Becoming more intimate with ourselves, with what's here. And recognizing it's okay. Nothing's actually wrong. And we find a still point or a ballast